Introduction to the Elder Immortal. Is it the beginning or the end? He possesses supernatural powers, but he only wants to be a hero, whether in the mortal world or the immortal realm, he only wants to be free-spirited. However, fate always firmly holds on to him. Chapter 1. Where is this? You are listening at novelfull.audio. You are no longer you, but you are still you. Soldiers and souls pass you, it is fate and fate, everything is determined by you. There are all things in the world, nothing in the world. There is no difference between existence and non-existence. Sigh, sigh. The voice was somewhat weathered and helpless, but it was irresistible, ringing clearly in my ear. The dazzling sunlight flushed his eyelids, and Meng Xiaoshan opened his eyes to the light. Wake up, Meng Xiaoshan was confused. To be precise, it's not about being confused by the words in a dream, but what truly confuses is waking up to see everything in front of you. Meng Xiaoshan rubbed his eyes and heard someone say, "Master, he's awake." And the master didn't seem surprised to hear this, just a "oh" counted as a response. Meng Xiaoshan took a closer look and found that the place he woke up to was not a dormitory, but a house with rosewood beams and carved wood, which looked like an ancient building no matter how it looked. Xiaoshan clearly remembers that he had just finished a night of internet cafe activities and lay upside down in the university dormitory. He closed his eyes and fell asleep soundly. But what's going on? Then, Xiaoshan saw a person with a clear face, both calm and somewhat floating, dressed in a long blue shirt with a long bun on his head. Another person, who was slightly older in age, was also middle-aged and had a goat beard. He was also dressed in a long shirt, but showed a more calm demeanor. Meng Xiaoshan sat up and looked at them, saying in a playful tone, "Hey. Am I dreaming? Is this the rhythm of time travel?" It seemed like he was muttering to himself. The younger one replied, "Brother, you've woken up. You've slept all day and night. Oh, by the way, what does time travel mean?" Meng Xiaoshan was stunned, patting his forehead and pinching his face. There was indeed pain, proving that he was not dreaming. The slightly older one said to the younger one, "Uncle, let him rest a little longer. It seems he still needs some rest." He then said to Xiaoshan, "Young brother, you rest first, let's go first." Without waiting for Xiaoshan's response, he left with his disciple. Meng Xiaoshan was the only one left in the room, and he slowly fell into contemplation. Yes, he is very confused. How could he fall asleep and then cross over? This is simply the biggest joke in the world. By the way, it must be related to that sound, he thought, as if he wanted to recall something. However, he only remembered the sentence, "You are no longer you, but you are still you. Soldiers and souls pass you on, it is fate and fate, everything is determined by you. There are all things in the world, nothing in the world. There is no difference between existence and non-existence." Sigh, sigh. There was nothing special about anything else. After thinking for a long time, I still had no idea. With a bitter smile, I could only give up. At the thought that I might have traveled through time, there was still a hint of joy in my heart. He thought to himself, if he had traveled a long time today, could he also excel? Thinking of myself again, I worked hard in high school and eventually got into a second-tier university that was neither high nor low. In school, I am not good at anything and do not possess any of the 3 points of high wealth and handsomeness. Later on, my academic performance was not good and I couldn't pick girls. Let's play games, League of Legends always gives away heads. Thinking of this, Xiaoshan shouted, "Let's all go with you. I've traveled through time, I can be amazing. My era has arrived." Thinking of the fictional historical novels he had read before, Xiaoshan couldn't help but shake up his spirits. The complex Meng Xiaoshan suddenly thought of her parents, and sighed in her heart, "Mom and Dad, Xiaoshan. I hope sister can take care of you all." Yes, and sister, Xiaoshan's heart has reduced some worries. Meng Xiaoshan, who had figured everything out, began to observe the house carefully. He saw a gray stone brick floor, red columns and beams, and a colorful picture of cranes spreading their wings on the inner eaves. About 5 steps away from the door, there is an incense burner in the center, and the fragrance of sandalwood slowly rises out. Looking at the door facing the main hall again, there is a capital character hanging on the wall, an unfamiliar character. Looking at the characters, one horizontal and one apostrophe, the layers are clear and somewhat like traditional Chinese characters. After observing the house, Meng Xiaoshan couldn't see it thoroughly, but he was able to pass through without leaving a trace. So he lay quietly back in bed, thinking that when their master and disciple arrive later, they must ask clearly which dynasty this is. At that time, with an extremely lewd smile, he began his fantasies. After a long time, the door creaked open. I thought it was those 2 masters and disciples who came in, but Xiaoshan couldn't help but exclaim in disbelief. But you said, what's wrong? Originally, it was a girl who pushed the door in. That girl is about 13 or 14 years old, dressed in a green shirt, with a red belt around her waist, and a mischievous but extremely pretty face. Xiaoshan thought to herself, such a young girl in her prime is already so beautiful, and she is also a troublemaker for the country and the people. Speaking of which, the pretty and mischievous girl, with a curious expression on her face, asked Meng Xiaoshan, "Hey, are you the person my dad rescued from outside?" Xiaoshan thought, her father must be the elderly man in green. He smiled to show agreement. The girl seemed quite happy and asked again, "Is it fun outside?" Xiaoshan thought, in this wicked ancient world, this girl was raised in a deep boudoir, so it must be difficult for her to go out. But as a traveler, what can I know? Anyway, I think the ancient world should be similar to what was on television. So Xiaoshan went back and said, yes, the outside world is very interesting. Again, he bragged that there were bingtangulu, sugar figurines, circuses, shadow puppets. Words like these really attract girls, as if being able to go outside is now a distant and longing dream for little girls. Time flies quite quickly, my stomach is starving. Staying with a beautiful person, time passes quite quickly, at least Xiaoshan thinks so. But although Xiaoshan is proud and carefree, he is a principled *** silk, this word may be a bit outdated. That is to say, little loli is not his hobby. It's already noon, you say, how can this Xiaoshan guy not be hungry? But this little girl doesn't seem to have any intention of stopping, she keeps asking with a cherry red mouth. Brother Xiaoshan can only tell what he heard on TV, regardless of the Wei and Jin dynasties. At this moment, a female voice came from outside the room, "Miss Ing, what are you doing in this room?" Xiaoshan clearly heard the speaker's concern about Miss Ing, as if worried that she would do something mischievous again. Then, a woman with a green shirt and a red belt around her waist entered the house. Xiaoshan looked up curiously, and at this glance, there was an impulse to have a nosebleed. Sigh, it's hard to control yourself when you see a beautiful woman. Chapter 2. Wow, beauty. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just look at the beautiful woman who came in. She turned out to be about 20 years old, fat like jade, muscular like white snow, with a waist like a bundle of vegetables and teeth like a woven shell. She is beautiful and has a special temperament, mature and steady. Xiaoshan exclaimed to himself, beautiful. Such a beautiful woman, if placed in the original world, I wouldn't even dare to think about it. Now, I'm sorry, those compatriots who live in that world, I've made it to this beautiful woman. Xiaoshan smiled unconsciously. But when I say Xiaoshan, you can just smile, but you can't just keep staring at the beautiful woman and laughing, as it can be misunderstood. Sure enough, the beautiful woman couldn't help but feel angry when she saw Meng Xiaoshan's behavior. How could this person be so rude? Alas, the master is also strange. Why did he save this *** mortal? Upon reflection, the beautiful woman ignored Xiaoshan and turned her gaze to the girl next to her, saying in a slightly resentful tone, "Ing, you are here. I just came to see you, why didn't I respond?" Miss Ing smiled apologetically, then took the beautiful woman's thin hand and said happily, "Third senior sister, come listen to the outside world, it's so fun." She pointed to Xiaoshan again. Third senior sister glanced at Xiaoshan and stopped pursuing her Ing junior sister. Who made her junior sister Ing never go to the outside world? Curiosity is also possible. The sound of gulong, gulong disturbed the beautiful scene. Third senior sister glanced at Xiaoshan with a helpless expression on her face and chuckled. Her smile was seductive and incomparable, truly intoxicating comrade Xiaomeng who had just made a sound due to being too hungry. Embarrassed, Xiaoshan scratched his head and smiled, saying to the beautiful third senior sister, this. Third senior sister, that, I'm hungry. Do you have anything to eat? As he didn't know the name of the beautiful woman, Xiaoshan also followed third senior sister for grace. Upon hearing these words, third senior sister was slightly taken aback and realized that most mortals should eat on time, unlike cultivators who have already exceeded their food limit. Even if they eat, it is just a matter of mouth, or eating some spiritual fruits from the spiritual valley to supplement their cultivation. Thinking of this, I realized that the mortal in front of me had not eaten for a day and a night. As for the young girl Ing, she probably became tempted by Xiaoshan's talk about various delicacies in the outside world and also clamored to eat some food. Without further ado, Meng Xiaoshan and junior sister Ing have started a food war. For a long time, Xiaoshan brushed his stomach with his hands and exclaimed full. While savoring the delicious food just now, there were fruits in various colors such as red, purple, and white, sweet and delicious, but they couldn't be named. And the fragrant roasted meat, which is extremely refreshing. This ancient food, primitive, is delicious. Xiaoshan's happy thanks to the heavens and the earth. In an instant, Xiaoshan felt a burning sensation all over his body, as if he had a fever. Then, there were oil stains all over my body. Just now, Xiaoshan was so hot that she wanted to take a cold shower. After getting oil stains, her body was surprisingly cool and felt very comfortable. The medium short jeans and short sleeves that he had traveled with were all greasy and sticky to the touch, so he couldn't wear them anymore. How could such a Xiaoshan know that he had undergone changes due to consuming spiritual food? Although Xiaoshan cannot absorb the spiritual energy in spiritual food has its own spiritual energy. However, it has given Xiaoshan, a mortal, a body wash of marrow, which can be said to purify his body and enable him to develop his potential, at least several times stronger than ordinary mortals. Meng Xiaoshan asked for a suit of clothes, washed away all the oil stains, and shook his green shirt, leisurely and elegantly enjoying the surroundings. Stepping out of the house, facing you is a simple small courtyard. There are some long vines in the yard. Although they are old, they are still green and often present. The rest are some unknown flowers and plants, some of which are like pointed-leaved grass. The yard is not overgrown with weeds, clearly someone has carefully trimmed it. The courtyard is clearly connected to the outside, with a simple doorway connected, through which one can vaguely see the outside. Seeing this, Meng Xiaoshan had a desire to rush out. After all, there was a beautiful woman outside. Xiaoshan couldn't resist and walked out. When he stepped out, the fact confused Xiaoshan. Stepping on the stone brick field, looking up, there are peaks one after another. Meng Xiaoshan is certain that he is also situated among these peaks. It is not difficult to find that his current location is a building facing north and south, with a floor plan in the shape of a pin. The main house is located in the center, facing north and south. There is a square paved with stone bricks in front of it, and there are separate courtyards and houses on the east and west sides of the field. The courtyard where Meng Xiaoshan has stayed is the west courtyard. Meng Xiaoshan also discovered that most of the other peaks centered around this peak are small courtyards, but there are no buildings like main houses in this peak. Let's take a look at the main house. The roof is a double-eaved gable roof, covered with blue glazed tiles, and 9 small beasts are placed on both the upper and lower eaves. The upper eaves are single raised and 7-stepped arch of wooden architecture, while the lower eaves are heavy raised and 5-stepped arch of wooden architecture. Both the inner and outer eaves are cranes and auspicious clouds. The 6 ceiling beams are extremely unique in color paintings. Find www.zhaozuiyuan.com to coordinate with the decoration and furnishings that emphasize red, and it looks like a fairy. Such a building. At such a peak again. What a masterpiece. Meng Xiaoshan was stunned when he suddenly heard a voice coming from the main room. "Young man, come in now." This voice seemed to be the first middle-aged elder he had seen. Despite confusion, Xiaoshan still entered the main room. Stepping into the main room, one can see the middle-aged elder sitting in the main hall, sipping his tea and smiling as he gestured for Xiaoshan to sit down. As soon as Xiaoshan sat down, he spoke up and said, "Young man, how are you doing?" Xiaoshan replied politely, "Thank you for your concern, senior. My health is not very serious." While thinking about the lines from a certain novel, he sighed at his intelligence. The middle-aged elder said again, Young man, I ask you something. Why did you appear on Sangshan Cliff?" "What?" Meng Xiaoshan asked in confusion, "What is Sangshan Cliff? Is Sangshan Cliff a place name?" Middle-aged elders exercise true qi and use the mind-clearing technique that can only be used against mortals during the healing period to listen to Xiaoshan's inner voice. Observing his inner voice, the middle-aged elder was convinced that he was not lying, but it made no sense. He just couldn't figure it out, but an ordinary person happened to appear on the cliff of the mortal world. Alas, the middle-aged elderly can only think this way. This young man may have happened by chance. Yes, saving him may also be a kind of luck. Alas, having an organic fate but no good immortal bones is just a person without an immortal fate. The middle-aged elder looked at Xiaoshan's puzzled face and said, "It's nothing, I just saved you from the Sangshan Cliff." Meng Xiaoshan thought to himself, maybe it was during his time traveling that he had already traveled there. What should I do? I can't tell him that I traveled here. Who would believe me when I traveled? Don't treat me like a monster. Alas, since he no longer asks further questions, let's just not answer. In this way, Xiaoshan chose to remain silent, while also thinking about various lies, in case the middle-aged elderly would ask further questions. Chapter 3. Ah, this is actually the world of cultivation. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Time seemed to pause for a moment, and the middle-aged elder spoke again, saying, "Young man, meeting us is also a chance. Anyway, you have the right to linger here for a few days. In no time, I will ask uncle to escort you down the mountain." Upon hearing this, Meng Xiaoshan exclaimed in his heart, "What do you mean? Is this driving me away? Why am I so unlucky? I encountered this kind of problem as soon as I traveled. No, I need to find a way to live longer to familiarize myself with this era." In this way, Xiaoshan asked, "By the way, thank you for saving my life, senior." "He, dare you ask the senior's name?" The middle-aged elder smiled and said, "I, the Taoist Zhou Yangzi, am also." Xiaoshan Sha was puzzled. How did you become a Taoist again? However, he politely asked, "Zhou Dao Chang, may I ask where this is? Which dynasty is it now?" Feeling a bit off, he added, "Oh, what dynasty is it today?" Zhou Daoren still smiled and said, "I am an outsider, but how do I know what this world is now? If you ask where this place is, it's easy to answer. This is the Yunqing sect Taoist office." Meng Xiaoshan was puzzled. The Yunqing sect is. He speculated that this Yunqing sect is not a major sect in the martial arts world. Yes, this must be the martial arts world mentioned in those novels. Wow, if it were in the world of martial arts in the martial arts world, it wouldn't be possible to learn all the martial arts skills. Although he was secretly pleased, Xiaoshan still looked at Zhou Daoren with an inquiring gaze. Zhou Daoren seemed to know what he was thinking in his heart and explained calmly, our Yunqing sect has been passed down by ancient immortals. Since our sect was established, there have been many Xia Ju disciples in our sect. He smiled proudly and then said regretfully, although we are destined, you have no immortal bones. That is to say, your 5 elements are quite complex, and the path of cultivating immortals may be difficult to move forward with. Therefore, you must not propose to become a disciple. Zhou Dao Chang, immortal, Xia Juzhe, immortal bone. I can't believe it anymore. Meng Xiaoshan couldn't believe his ears and thought he had traveled back to ancient times, but the language he heard seemed to tell him that this was a world of cultivation. Zhou Daoren took a light sip of his tea and explained, immortals refer to those who seek immortality through cultivation. Most of the Xia Ju practitioners are novice immortals, and the immortal bones are the qualifications for cultivating immortality and seeking the Tao. Listen to this, what else can Xiaoshan do? I originally thought it was the ancient world of martial arts, but unexpectedly, the place I traveled through was a world of cultivation in pursuit of the Tao, as if everything had nothing to do with me. Who would call me without immortal bones? Feeling lost, Xiaoshan looked up at the window and unexpectedly saw a figure floating in a blue robe, flying towards this peak with a sword from a distance, exuding a graceful demeanor. As he approached, he realized that he was the first person he woke up to see, as if he was called uncle. The young uncle walked into the room, bowed his head to Zhou Daoren, and said, Master. Zhou Daoren didn't pay attention to uncle, just looked at uncle, and then turned to Xiaoshan and said, Young man, after all, we are destined. I promise you a request, of course, it must be reasonable, and I will do my best to help you complete it. Later, uncle will take you back to the world. Looking at uncle, it seemed as if he had assigned a task. Meng Xiaoshan has fallen into a decision, yes, what exactly is he seeking? Seeking immortal methods is not right. Just looking at the methods and practicing them is not enough, and I don't have good immortal bones, it's useless. Seeking martial arts skills seems impossible, as they are only cultivators and not martial arts practitioners in the martial arts world. Can I use the magic weapon? Either, or I hope to stay here for a while longer, so that I can encounter some opportunities in the future, and maybe there is a chance to cultivate immortality. In this way, Meng Xiaoshan made up his mind and said, Zhou Dao Chang, can I stay here for a while longer? He raised his finger, 2 years or a year. Zhou Daoren frowned slightly and said, anyway, let's make it 6 months. During these 6 months, uncle will accompany you and everything will be handled by uncle. However, after 6 months, you must leave. Zhou Daoren nodded when he saw Xiaoshan, then turned to Wuchang and said, Wuchang, your cultivation has not been improving recently. It is evident that you cannot continue to force yourself to practice. Today, I will assign you a task for 6 months. I hope you can carefully consider it. After saying this, he closed his eyes and meditated on Yunyun. Xiaoshan left the house with his uncle. Standing on the square, stepping on the stone bricks, looking at the distant peaks, Xiaoshan smiled and saluted, Uncle, senior brother, I'll trouble you from now on. Uncle said happily, Brother, don't worry. Oh, by the way, haven't you asked for your brother's name yet? Oh, Uncle Zheng. Senior brother Wuchang may seem calm and rigid, but in reality, he is quite enthusiastic. At least Xiaoshan thinks so. If I go back to senior brother, I'm Meng Xiaoshan. Senior brother Wuchang can call me Xiaoshan in the future. Senior brother Wuchang enthusiastically took Xiaoshan's hand and said, Let's go. From now on, you can live with me in the bamboo forest little farewell courtyard. As he spoke, he took Xiaoshan and stepped on his sword. To be more specific, Xiaoshan was framed on his sword. Stepping on the sword, Meng Xiaoshan tightly grasped Uncle Chang's arm and looked down at the bottomless valley below. His body trembled, and his green shirt looked like an inflated balloon. A mountain peak in the distance is getting closer and closer, and the trees above are becoming clearer and more visible. In no time, uncle and senior brother Yu Jian stopped in front of a small courtyard at the Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. It is not difficult to find that the small courtyard is located in a bamboo forest, and the courtyard is nothing but surrounded by some fences. There are 2 houses inside, which are side by side. The houses are also relatively simple, mostly made of wood, far less spectacular than the main peak Zhou Doran's place. There is a field in the yard, which seems to have planted some unknown grains. Buchang led Xiaoshan into the courtyard and pointed to the house, saying, "The house on the left has 2 rooms on both sides, and we happen to have one for each of us. The house on the right has 2 rooms, so I'll convert one into a kitchen for you and the other into a storage room for storing some miscellaneous spiritual grains." He then pointed to the spiritual valley in the yard and said, "There isn't any mortal food valley here either. You can eat these spiritual valleys from now on." Meng Xiaoshan looked at these spiritual valleys and fortunately, there were some that looked like rice or cabbage, while others could not be found to match those he had seen before. But it's all possible, after all, they are spiritual plants that have always been edible. Alas, there might be a food invention to be made, and Xiaoshan looked at Lingu in a daze. As uncle and senior brother entered the house, they poured a cup of tea and sat down. Xiaoshan and uncle began to chat, one after another, as if it were a casual conversation. During this period, Xiaoshan learned that this senior brother was the chief disciple of the Yunqing sect and had been under the tutelage of Zhou Daoran for over 100 years. For over 100 years, Comrade Xiaoshan was stunned, but soon he was relieved. "I also know that the Yunqing sect is a major sect in the cultivation world and belongs to a well-known sect. More importantly, I also know that these 3 senior sisters are the great beauties of the Yunqing sect. Xiao Qingxue, secretly known as the Cold Beauty. It seems that senior brother Bo is quite pleased with 3rd senior sister. Alas, this has nothing to do with Xiaoshan. Since knowing that I am not destined for the immortal path, I have no intention of seeking beauty. I just want to figure out how to get along well in this world without losing the face of a traveler." Chapter 4. The Art of Strengthening the Body. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flies like a white horse, a month passes by quickly. For the past month, Meng Xiaoshan has been like an ancient hermit. He wakes up at dawn, first with 2 sets of simplified Tai Chi 24 styles and the second set of Chang Quan. This is the course content of 2 years of physical education in university, and now it has become Xiaoshan's morning exercise program here. Then, after breakfast, he hid in his room and read Mist and Dust Record. This book is said to be a lifelong record of his own experiences and observations by a senior practitioner. Although it cannot encompass the entire world of cultivation, it is also a reflection of this world, serving as a window for Xiaoshan to see the world of cultivation. Of course, Xiaoshan often talks to uncle and senior brother, and the scope of the conversation is very broad. Sometimes, he chats with uncle and senior brother while drinking alcohol. Xiaoshan's alcohol tolerance is already poor, but he can't resist the aroma of Lingu brewed wine, so he only tastes it lightly. This morning, Xiaoshan was practicing the 24 forms of simplified Tai Chi. Suddenly, a green shadow flew in the distance. Upon closer inspection, she saw the young girl Ing, still wearing a green shirt and a red waist scarf, walking with a flying sword and waving her hand. Landing, retracting the sword, with skilled and natural movements. Sister Ing smiled and said, "Brother Xiaoshan, what are you doing?" The little girl didn't know Xiaoshan's name somewhere, it was quite polite anyway. Meng Xiaoshan, seeing a girl with skin shining brighter than snow and eyes resembling clear water, lacked immunity, and even suspected that she had a little lowly plot. "Miss Ing, I'm doing morning exercises and exercising my body," she said. "What is morning exercise for?" Is it fun? Said Sister Ing with an innocent smile. Meng Xiaoshan closed his posture and straightened up. Speaking of morning exercises, this is a technique passed down by predecessors to strengthen the body. As long as you exercise daily, you can keep your body healthy and free from all kinds of diseases. Look, my Tai Chi set is very effective and suitable for women. It is said that after women practice this technique, they can make their skin smooth, their body graceful, their complexion rosy, and their hair black and beautiful. Sister Ing smiled mischievously and said, Brother Xiaoshan, I see that this technique is soft and powerless, but it is truly a female specialized technique. But you are a man who cultivates this technique. Are you a female? Haha. Childlike innocence, Xiaoshan wiped a sweat on his face and said, Hey, why is Junior Sister Ing here? Sister Ing grabbed a handful of her hair and said, Me, come and chat with Brother Xiaoshan. Dad has been asking me to practice more, otherwise I would have come to see you long ago. Xiaoshan is in pain. Last time we talked a lot about this little girl, but now we have to start again, and I can't help but feel a sense of guilt in my heart. No, Xiaoshan thinks we can't talk about the outside world with her anymore. Oh yes, tell her a story. Okay, that's it. Entering the room, washing his sweat, Xiaoshan took a sip of tea and saw Yingximai sit down with a smile. He said, Yingximai, how about I tell you a story? Before giving the little girl a chance to speak, Xiaoshan stood still. Stories have always been loved by young girls, and even Sister Ing couldn't get used to them. Okay, what kind of story? Brother Xiaoshan, tell it quickly, she said. Xiaoshan cleared his throat after taking a sip of tea and said, This is a story about twin brothers, mainly about one of them named Shi Zhongjian. He was separated from his parents since childhood and was named Dog Bastard by his adoptive mother. Haha, not bad. Xiaoshan is telling the novel Heroes by Master Jin Yong. Speaking of this novel, it is Xiaoshan's favorite martial arts novel, and the silly people and things in it really attracted Meng Xiaoshan, who was still a high school student at the time. So, when it comes to telling a story to a girl from the world of cultivation, Xiaoshan's first thought is this novel. Sister Ing is quite familiar with this story. Sometimes she listens quietly and carefully, and sometimes she laughs heartily, making her a good listener. And Xiaoshan finally caught a good audience and became a storyteller, speaking with a splash of saliva. Fortunately, at noon, uncle and senior brother returned, and Xiaoshan used an excuse to go busy with his own food, while uncle and senior brother were entangled buying junior sister. During lunchtime, Sister Ing mercilessly took away a large amount of food, making Xiaoshan want to cry without tears. In the afternoon, Xiaoshan did not continue the story, but instead held smoke and dust record, as he simply did not want to tell the story. Sister Ing ended her conversation with senior brother Buchang too early. She originally wanted to ask Xiaoshan to continue telling the story. When she saw him reading Smoke and Dust Record, she smiled and said, Xiaoshan, aren't you tired reading like this? I have a memory pill here, do you want it? Meng Xiaoshan was puzzled and said, Memory pill, what is this thing? What is its use? Sister Ing put on a senior look and said, I took one of these memory pills. I can write down the words I read in half an hour, but it's tiring. Sigh, a few days ago, when I learned martial arts, I used to eat them as beans. She reached out and took a large white pill made of beans. Speaking of memory pill, it is an auxiliary pill for cultivating the world, mostly used for younger generations before entering the cultivation stage to memorize the techniques. Meng Xiaoshan suspected, is it so magical, and still took it and ate it. Sure enough, reading at double speed, I quickly finished reading the remaining half of the book as if I had memorized it. Meng Xiaoshan shamelessly begged the young girl for more memory pills, and went to the book garden www.zhaozhuyuan.com, completely losing his gentlemanly demeanor. Think about it, if you use this memory pill, Xiaoshan can remember a lot of things and soon become knowledgeable. Tomorrow, I'll come and bring you more, but you have to tell me that story, said Sister Ing with a witty smile. Xiaoshan firmly said, "Don't worry, these are all little KS." Xiaoshan thought, if I bring these memory pills back to the original world, I won't be able to become a jack of all trades anymore, and I won't have to worry about failing exams anymore. Alas, unfortunately Xiaoshan was enthusiastic and said, "Now, let's continue with the story." He drank some tea, smashed his mouth, and prepared to speak. Sister Ing quickly blocked her way and said, "Don't. Listen again tomorrow. Teach me the body strengthening technique you practiced this morning." After all, she was a little girl and seemed to have been thinking about it for a long time. It was just that she used it to make fun of Xiaoshan at the time, so I didn't feel embarrassed to mention it again. Now that I have chips, I have no worries. Meng Xiaoshan blushed with sweat. This little girl is not simple. Oh, it's simple Tai Chi, easy to talk about, easy to talk about. Let's go, inside the courtyard. She said, standing in the center of the courtyard. You keep an eye on it. Xiaoshan arched and said correspondingly, this simplified Tai Chi consists of 24 movements, which are the rising posture, the left and right wild horses split their manes, the white crane spreads its wings, the left and right embrace the knees and move forward, the hand swings the pipa. Flash through the arm, turn around and move the block and pound, as if closed, the cross posture, and the closing posture. Xiaoshan breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he had memorized the name of the move, otherwise it would be difficult to teach so professionally today. Miss Ing really wanted to eat the memory pill, so she just jotted down the name over and over again. However, it was quite difficult to practice, and the cloud hands and cloud legs were extremely inadequate. It seems that the memory pill only helps to memorize written knowledge, and the movements are not effective. Junior Sister Ing practiced quite seriously, maybe she was fooled by Xiaoshan's professional move name. Chapter 5. Entering the mortal world for the first time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Last time, I mentioned that the foolish bastard was mistaken and became the leader of the Changel gang. She met with many disciples of the Snow Mountain sect. Sister Ing arrived as scheduled with the memory pill, so the storyteller Meng Xiaoshan began working. This time, senior brother Bo also became an audience member with junior Sister Ing, so Xiaoshan worked even harder. This bastard is also quite unlucky. He has taken on many unjust debts for the leader of Changel gang without any reason, and has been repeatedly besieged and accused by the Snow Mountain sect. Alas, the difference between these sects is just like reality. Uncle, while drinking tea and rinsing his mouth, interjected, Xiaoshan, is this really a story? How does it feel like a certain life experience? Xiaoshan was shocked and couldn't explain clearly, so he simply admitted, Hee, uncle and senior brother are so insightful. This story happened in the mortal world, and at that time, I was still young. I listened to what the elders told me, silently reciting Master Jin Yong's wisdom in his heart. The mortal world. The true story of the mortal world, Ing Shimi exclaimed in shock, tell me quickly, Xiaoshan brother, I still want to listen. This performance fully reflects the little girl's desire for the outside world. Okay. Xiaoshan silently recited the lie without guilt, took a sip of tea, and continued the story. Uncle and senior brother didn't delve into the content anymore. The days are fast, and in the blink of an eye, another month has passed. The storyteller Xiaoshan's story has long come to an end, and Miss Ing hasn't seen her for a while. Xiaoshan still has some nostalgia. Recently, senior brother Buchang brought several interesting books about the immortal world, helping Xiaoshan get through several days of hardship. On this day, Xiaoshan was practicing the second leg of Chongquan in the morning. Yingshimai ran happily all the way, waving her small hand and shouting with a joyful face, Xiaoshan, I built my foundation successfully a few days ago. My dad finally allowed me to go down the mountain with my senior brother to play. Let's go, find my senior brother. She said, then took my hand and left. Meng Xiaoshan actually thought of going outside a long time ago. After all, he has just crossed this place and is not familiar with it yet. Exactly, this time you can take a good look at the world. So the two of them pulled their senior brother, uncle, and prepared to go down the mountain. Xiaoshan was still wielded on the sword by his senior brother, uncle. Sigh, it's too embarrassing, it's a lack of security. Looking at the young martial sister Ing, she was so casual. She lightly stepped on the body of the glass sword with her small foot, curled her lips, and the sword flew with great joy. At the foot of the mountain, the three of them chose to walk and said they were going to the nearest city of Jinan. Along the way, Sister Ing bounced and danced, always grabbing a few wild grasses in her hand and dancing back and forth, indicating her happiness from the bottom of her heart. Yes, the little girl can finally see the outside world. Xiaoshan and Buchang were also infected by it, laughing uncontrollably. As he was walking, he suddenly saw 5 big men standing side by side in front of him. All 5 big men were dressed in simple clothes, with messy beards and wielding knives. He shouted, "Hey, those 3 of you, take out your money, or you'll end up in dire straits." Junior sister Ing frowned in confusion, while senior brother Bo remained calm and indifferent. As for Xiaoshan, being with a cultivator, there is no need to be afraid of a petty thief in the mortal world. Xiaoshan volunteered and asked uncle and senior brother to take the lead. "Uncle and senior brother, how about letting me play with these few?" With cultivators like big senior brother in charge, Xiaoshan was not worried about losing out at all. The 5 people looked impatient when they saw that they had been ignored, and then reminded them, "Did you hear that? This is a robbery. Be honest, bring the money." They even raised their swords as they spoke. Xiaoshan rubbed his fingers, sighed, there was no sound, then shrugged his shoulders and said, "A few people, what are you doing?" "Oh, work. The 3 of us have just arrived in your area, please take care of us." He arched and reached out, saying, "Please take action." 5 people were dumbfounded, and one of the men cursed, "Your grandmother," while saying, "Take care of, I'll fight with you empty-handed." He put down his sword, punched and went up. The man punched Xiaoshan's face with a grin on his face. Xiaoshan was quick-witted and turned his head to dodge. The man punched back and forth, and Xiaoshan's cloud hand pulled away. The man waved back, and Xiaoshan could always cloud his hand to dodge. Tai Chi's cloud hand is extraordinary. The man was shocked by the evil sect, so he changed his moves and kicked and kicked. This time, Xiaoshan drew circles with his hands and grabbed his legs. With a strong pull, the man split and fell down. The man turned over and punched again. This time, Xiaoshan grabbed the back of his hand and used force to hit the middle of the punch, fast, hate, and accurate. In this way, the man suffered another big loss. This time, the man understood that he might encounter some tough problems, so he quickly called a few brothers and went up together. Xiaoshan knew how much it weighed and quickly signaled to uncle and senior brother to take action. Senior brother Bo waved his hand and saw the 5 men rushing towards him, all of whom were knocked back and thrown to death, lying on the ground in pain. Xiaoshan's mouth was wide open, and there was only admiration left. Those 5 Chinese characters climbed up and fell on their knees. "Some heroes, my younger brothers have eyes that don't know the truth, but they have moved on Taisui's head. Please forgive me," and slapped themselves. Faced with the matter of communication, uncle and senior brother didn't like it, so Xiaoshan spoke up and said, "You guys are all wise. However, if you bump into our hands today, count your backs and take your lives." He picked up his single sword and pretended to cut falsely. "Miss Ing, this little girl has an evil expression on her face." She went to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com and urged Xiaoshan to take action quickly. "She is too righteous, but it's a bit scary." The 5 of them quickly kowtowed and begged for mercy, but Xiaoshan couldn't bear it and pretended, "Anyway, there is a virtue in heaven to live a good life. I have the right to spare your life. However, You must abandon your sword and practice good deeds from now on. Do not do such evil things again. If you are discovered again, I will take your life." The 5 of them quickly kowtowed and thanked me, as if afraid that I would go back on my word. They also promised not to do this again in the future, even abandoning their single sword and escaping through multiple paths. Haha. The 3 of them all laughed, and Sister Ing made a belly-up gesture. "Brother Xiaoshan, it's really bad." Xiaoshan scratched his head and said, "Thank you, thank you." After the incident of robbery, the 3 of them still walked towards Jinan's city with laughter and conversation. Entering the city, one can see the wide streets, where various vendors, bearers, and basket handlers come in constant stream, bargaining and shouting for sales. This is the beginning of an ambush. Sister Ing rushed back and forth in joy, looking at each other. Xiaoshan was not much better either, because it was difficult to match on TV. Fortunately, Elder Martial Brother Uncle has earthly coins. Several people chew on various kinds of pastries, but unfortunately, there are no such things as bingtanghulu and sugar figurines. While wandering around, I suddenly heard a passerby say, "There are many martial arts people gathered in the east square of the city. I heard that a martial arts conference is going to be held." Passerby E said, "You have also heard that it is said that the leader of the Martial Arts Alliance will be selected to resist the Damao Kingdom." Passerby Bing said, "Today, the Emperor of Dying Kingdom is weak, while the martial arts heroes are full of passion." Passersby A and B put their index fingers at the corners of their mouths and said, "Shoo, keep it down, it's okay. Let's go and take a look." Passerby C pretended and said, "The Emperor loves his people like a son today." He deliberately shouted loudly, "Let's go and watch the excitement." I hurried away. Chapter 6. Late at night, Yenner. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When you first arrive in the mortal world, there is always excitement to watch. It seems that heaven favors you. Meng Xiaoshan had a curious expression on his face. After all, he was a martial arts figure from the mortal world. Although he had seen the flying swords of cultivators, he was particularly concerned about martial arts in the world. Perhaps it was related to reading martial arts novels from a young age, as martial arts were more intimate. So, Xiaoshan will never miss this martial arts competition. "Uncle, let's go take a look too." Xiaoshan knew that Sister Ing would definitely go, so he only sought Uncle's consent. Yingshimai looked mischievous and said, "Let's go. Hurry up." Before Xiaoshan could hear Buchang's response, Yingshimai dragged her away. And uncle and senior brother did not respond, they just followed suit. Wow, there are quite a few people. This scene can really be called crowded. Meng Xiaoshan followed Sister Ing to squeeze into the crowd, and the 2 of them were quite impressive. With so many people, they managed to squeeze into the center. However, speaking of which, uncle and senior brother are also very human and can always be with them. In the center of the crowd is an arena, with various weapons displayed on both sides, including knives, guns, swords, and halberds, as well as some uncommon ones such as bead iron whips, bamboo joint maces, and wolf-tooth pickaxes. Red flags fluttering in the wind are on both sides, and there are 6 grand tutor chairs on the inside of the arena, probably prepared for various martial arts masters. It's better to arrive earlier than later. As soon as Xiaoshan and his companions arrived, they saw 6 people on the arena, all sitting in their seats. A sound of iron luo rang out, and one of the white-haired elderly people was seen, with a short and hard mustache, a pair of brown eyes deeply trapped in the eye sockets, and a head of messy gray-white hair. They sat up with agile legs and walked to the center of the arena, clasping their fists and saying, "Everyone, Kong Xuan, have the privilege of hosting this martial arts competition today. I feel honored. Papa." Applause rang out, making it sound like a certain singing festival, and Xiaoshan also followed suit, clapping foolishly. Kong Xuan stretched out his hand and pressed weakly, "Next, I will introduce you to the notary public on the arena." From left to right, They are the long spear demon LV Jingang, the invincible divine fist Lu Tingrang, the kicking tiger Chao Yi, the butterfly sword woman Kai Yu, and the flying god Ni. Everyone stood up and clasped their fists in salute. Now, let me explain the rules of the martial arts competition. Kong Shuaren continued, there is no first place in literature and no second place in martial arts. In the martial arts competition, of course, the brave come first. Who is the first to step forward and become the champion? When the champion has no one to answer the challenge for a long period of 3 incense sticks, he is the first to serve as the leader of the martial arts alliance of our country, jointly guarding against the Mao enemies. After speaking, he sat back in his seat. In a short moment, a young man dressed in a black cloak, tight-fitting golden sword sleeves, and ground-grabbing flying tiger boots was seen. He was covered in black all over his body, holding a silver spear and becoming the first to take the lead in the challenge. He clasped his fists around and said, I am LV Ying from the Longgun sect. Who is there a hero to teach me? Someone in the audience whispered, it's true that the tiger father has no sons of dogs. The son of senior LV Jingang has courage. Yes, he's actually the first to become the champion. He's brave enough. Let's see, who will take on the challenge. I'll go, good guy. Xiaoshan's catchphrase came to his mouth, and he was also looking forward to someone taking the stage to challenge him. Seeing Sister Ying's sparrow eager to try, Xiaoshan sweated for LV Ying on stage and thought, what kind of scene would it be when a martial artist meets a cultivator? With a loud, I'll come, sound, a middle-aged man picked up his sword and struck. The middle-aged man was wearing a white long shirt, a silver belt around his waist, and thin-soled fast boots. He clenched his fists and said, I'll seek advice from Su Ji of the Lower Park Sword Sect. Let's talk about it, each of them has another gift. At this moment, LV Ying was seen taking the lead in firing a shot, directly hitting Su Jiqian's neck, leaving behind 2 points of force. In an instant, Su Jiqian tilted his head to the side and mentioned chopping his shoulder. LV Ying quickly retreated and cleverly used his long spear advantage to stab Su Ji in the waist and abdomen. Su Jiqian's right hand was blocked with a single blade, and his left index finger clicked on LV Ying's Tianzong acupoint. LV Ying quickly sidestepped his gun, blocking Su Jiqian's index finger attack. Su Jiqian relentlessly pursued, drawing circles with a single sword and making 3 right 3 swords. The swords were not separated from LV Ying's body, and LV Ying's long spear was like a dragon, blocking them repeatedly. Unconsciously, the two of them fought over 100 moves. Xiaoshan was dazzled by it, while junior sister Ying was dazzling. Senior brother Bo was mesmerized by it, as if he had learned something. At this point in the plot, it's time to determine the winner. At present, it seems difficult to distinguish between the two. At this moment, LV Ying deliberately advanced with his long spear, leaking his chest to the enemy. Su Jiqian quickly took the long spear with his sword, raised his index finger, and went to the Qi Hu acupoint. LV Ying quickly grabbed a flower spear, carried the spear with one hand, and instantly activated his right hand. He pointed at Su Jiqian's Shinto acupoint with one finger, and then, taking advantage of Su Jiqian's chest pain, the head of the silver spear reached his throat. So, the outcome was divided. Su was defeated before the season, and LV Ying won, becoming the champion again. In this way, there were 20 or 30 rounds of martial arts competition, and LV Ying was ultimately defeated in the 4th formation. Among them, the brilliant one was the masked female lotus student Jia Yan, who wielded a long sword and danced lotus flowers one after another. The Mao Huangshan sect is upright and upright, with a vigorous Tathagata palm, full of momentum. The Yu Mountain sect has a thick literary section and uses Bagua fist to strike as if it were sealed off. The leader of Jishui village, Kuyin, clapped his palms silently, catching people off guard. After listening to the gossip around, Xiaoshan learned that the 3 gates, 2 mountains and 1 village of Jingguo were all present at the martial arts contest. It was also true that the final winner this time was Gao Zheng of Mount Huangshan sect, Jia Yan of Lianshanmen ranked second, and Kuyin, the leader of Jishui village ranked third. The martial arts competition has ended, and it's getting late. It's already dusk, and the surrounding audience has dispersed. Xiao Shan was very strange. Although she saw Ing Shimi's sparrow wanting to try, she didn't come out to stir up trouble. Her eyes were fixed on Ing Shimi, and she seemed to regret something. When she looked at uncle and senior brother again, she looked at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com and realized that she had learned a lot of experience. Meng Xiaoshan smiled and said, "Let's go get some tips." Senior brother Buchang and junior sister Ing both looked puzzled and said, "What is it?" Ing thought it was something new. Xiaoshan smiled apologetically and thought to herself, "It seems that the content on TV has some origins from reality." She quickly corrected her tone and said, "Just find an inn to stay." Brother Buchang suddenly realized, "Oh, okay, let's go." 3 people were searching for an inn in the east of the city, and it turned out to be a wrong choice. The inn in the east of the city was fully booked due to this martial arts competition. The 3 of them ran all over the city and only stayed at a small inn in the west of the city, called Good Inn. There was a door couplet that read, "Welcoming guests from thousands of mountains and thousands of miles, asking for warmth and comfort like staying at home." The owner was a local and very hospitable person. They caught Xiao Shan and talked incessantly, but of course, Xiao Shan was also willing to do it. Understanding the world's customs is also Xiao Shan's major goal. It's night, the incessant snoring of Xiao Shan has really caused a commotion among sentient beings. Sigh, it's really untimely. Meng Xiaoshan was sleeping soundly when he suddenly felt someone pushing him. When he woke up and rubbed his eyes, he looked at the dark room before dawn and said in a loud voice, "What's going on?" Xiaoshan also wondered. Although the 3 of them had rented 1 room each, it was none other than Sister Ing who came to disturb him and tell stories. Shoo! A female voice, but definitely not Miss Ing, only heard, "Xiaoyi Ho, it's me, Yenner." The female voice sobbed softly and said, "A few days ago, I heard that you were ambushed by Mao people and couldn't find your whereabouts everywhere. I was so anxious about Yenner. Fortunately, I saw you under the arena today and sent people to pay attention to you. That's why I came to find you." Meng Xiaoshan was confused when he heard the woman say, "Who is the man and woman with you? Friend? Or the man who held you hostage?" Chapter 7. Assassination. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shoo! A female voice, but definitely not Miss Ing, only heard, "Xiaoyi Ho, it's me, Yenner." The female voice sobbed softly and said, "A few days ago, I heard that you were ambushed by Mao people and couldn't find your whereabouts everywhere. I was so anxious about Yenner. Fortunately, I saw you under the arena today and sent people to pay attention to you. That's why I came to find you." Meng Xiaoshan was confused when he heard the woman say, "Who is the man and woman with you? Friend? Or the man who held you hostage?" Upon hearing these words, Xiaoshan was even more puzzled. "Miss, did you recognize the wrong person? Or did you enter the wrong room?" Xiaoshan didn't want to be misunderstood. If the main leader came, he would be a bit moldy. The woman complained, "I've been looking for you so hard. I just found you now. Why don't you recognize her anymore?" She reached out and pinched Xiaoshan's right arm. Ah! Xiaoshan, who had been pinched, looked wronged and quickly got up, got out of bed, and lit a light. With the lights on, Xiaoshan looked closely and saw a woman sitting by the bed, wearing a white skirt embroidered with lotus flowers, long hair draped over her shoulders, and covered in light gauze. Looking familiar, yes, Xiaoshan immediately thought of Jia Yan, the masked female Liansheng from the martial arts competition. It seemed like she was still the second best expert, and she couldn't afford to provoke her. Xiaoshan immediately said, "Xianxia, you've mistaken me. Look, I'm not Xiaoyi Ho, and pointed to her face. Jia Yan chuckled and said, Xiaoyi Ho, oh, it's time to call me Xiao Ho Yi. Didn't you always call me Yener? You just said you don't recognize someone else, how did you think of them this time? Ignoring Xiaoshan's words, she continued to act her own way. Xiaoshan scratched his head and said, I said, Wuxia Jia, you really got the wrong person. I'm not a Xiaoyi Ho, not a Xiao Ho Yi. Yan Er said, ah, are you complaining about someone covering you up? As she spoke, she reached out her slender hand and gently untied her veil. I saw a melon seed face, beautiful and beautiful, with a pair of clear eyes staring at him, and a slight smile on the corner of his mouth. Xiaoshan was completely amazed. In fact, Xiaoshan can already be considered knowledgeable. Since entering this world, beautiful women have emerged one after another, as if they can be mass-produced. Yener pinched her 2 fingers and then pinched Xiaoshan's arm, ignoring Xiaoshan's painful cries. Her face blushed and she said, it looks like you're bringing it, as if you've seen someone for the first time. Turning his face to change his smile, he exclaimed with joy, however, Yan Er likes you like this. Hugging his head, Xiaoshan felt depressed. What's going on here? It's all said that women are so fickle, it seems true. But I'm not a filial servant, he said. I didn't hear an answer, but Yan Er's tender white index finger put it to her mouth, shoo, then pointed to the roof, there's someone in the room, be careful. She quickly blew out the oil lamp, reached out and grabbed Xiaoshan, making a protective gesture. Xiaoshan listened attentively, and indeed there was an occasional sound of stepping on tiles on the roof. If we didn't listen carefully, it would be difficult to detect. It seems that the newcomer is a master. In a short moment, the doors and windows were gently pried open, and a black figure flashed in. He pinched his feet and walked lightly to the edge of the bed, breaking through the silence with a click sound, and then struck the bed with a knife. Without the blood splattering thousands of feet as imagined, the man in black exclaimed to himself, not good, I've been deceived. Where are you, little mouse? Look at the sword, Yen scolded and stabbed the man in black without leaving a hand. In the darkness, only the sound of clang clang as weapons were handed over, it was evident that the 2 of them were engaged in an inseparable battle. Xiaoshan lost Yan Er by his side, feeling quite uneasy in the darkness. He quickly groped and lit the lamp. Inside, Yan Er's sword dance turned into a lotus flower, blocking the black-clothed man's retreat layer by layer, and his moves stabbed at the black-clothed man's vital points. The person in black is also not simple, not retreating but advancing, with a big knife, opening and closing wide. The black-clad man's steps are solemn, with the blade dancing back and forth, either elegant and gentle, or fierce and swift, each move carrying a strong wind. Looking at Yan Er again, all the way down the swordsmanship, it turned out to be blossoming lotus flowers. What a dazzling swordsmanship! The man in black shouted, look at the darts, with a continuous sound, and 3 arrow darts were fired in 3 directions. Up, middle, and down. Yan Er was busy sweeping with her sword. Alas, unfortunately, she still hit a mark on her chest. At first, it was blood, but in an instant, it was black blood. Yan Er fainted on the ground. Without further ado, this is a poison dart. Xiaoshan hugged Yener and wanted to wake her up, but it seemed to have little effect. The man in black laughed heartily and said, Xiaoyi Ho, it's okay, don't worry, I'll send you to see her right away. The man in black was very excited in his heart. For a long time, he devoted himself to Jingwa to gather intelligence. A few days ago, he heard that the leader over there had already eliminated Xiaoyi Ho after receiving the intelligence. Yesterday, he saw Xiaoyi Ho in the audience again. Killing him again today is a great achievement. Meng Xiaoshan said helplessly, what's going on with you? Why do you always say I'm a filial servant? I've told you all, I'm not. Also, the girl is fine. Why do you hurt her if you don't have anything to do? She stroked her chest and was very angry. The man in black seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. Loyal and righteous uncle, how did you give birth to such a childless son? Haha. That's right. In the face of life and death, oneself is important, and any kind of backbone is useless. The wicked laughter erupted again. Don't worry, find the Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. No matter what, I will send you there. After saying that, he swung his sword and struck. Ah, Xiaoshan exclaimed to himself. It wasn't long before he spoke, but it was too late. A gust of strong wind blew past, and the man in black leaned back against the wall, splattering blood. His eyes rolled over and he stared, then hiccuped. Xiaoshan was greatly frightened, and the scene of blood was not very pleasant, making him feel nauseous. Is everything okay? Uncle and senior brother rushed over in time and checked Xiaoshan's body. Cultivators are different, ordinary warriors are so vulnerable to cultivators. Xiaoshan shook his body strongly and smiled, it's okay. Fortunately, senior brother came in time, otherwise I wouldn't have seen you. As long as it's okay, uncle and senior brother breathed a sigh of relief. What is this? Xiaoshan saw a book drop off beside the man in black and picked it up to read, The Mind Technique of Non-Action. He opened the page and saw a letter sandwiched inside the book. Opening the letter. The old man personally opened it up. Silver did not bear the heavy responsibility and finally stole the martial arts treasure, Wuwei Mind Technique. This book was written by a Wuwei Xiaxia 300 years ago and is the highest mind technique in the martial arts world today. I designed it and sneaked into the Imperial Library of the Kingdom of Jing, and found it in a remote corner. The Kingdom of Jing has this treasure, but I don't know it, but it is a fortunate thing for me. Also, the martial arts world of the Kingdom of Jing wants to unite with the enemy and us, and I am trying to stir up conflicts during this period. My plan is blank, it seems that I haven't finished writing it yet. Ha ha ha. The treasure. Xiaoshan was overjoyed and handed it to senior brother Wuchang. After reading it, he handed it back and said, Xiaoshan, this book is of no use to me. I think you can learn it, but it's also a skill. Xiaoshan smiled and shyly took it over, which scared senior brother Wuchang with goosebumps. Yesterday, I was busy writing a biological experiment plan called Isolation and Identification of Amylase-Producing Bacteria in Vegetable Soil, but it was really frustrating for me. I spent the whole afternoon and night, but I couldn't figure out the experimental plan. Sigh. Chapter 8. Black Sauce Beans. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Meng Xiaoshan carefully tucked the Wuwei Mind Technique into his arms, thinking that he needed to make up for the writing language in this world. Although it didn't have much origin from his original world, it seemed a bit traditional, which needed to be corrected. Oh, Uncle Senior Brother, this girl has been poisoned. I wonder if she can still be saved. Xiaoshan saw Yen Er lying on the ground, picked her up, and placed her on the bed. Senior brother Wuchang reached out to probe his pulse and said, it's still in time, it can be saved. He took out a white pill from his pocket and said, if you take this Yuanqi pill, you'll be fine. Seeing Xiaoshan's skeptical expression, he added, don't worry, this Yuanqi pill is a good tonic for cultivators, but in the mortal world, it's equivalent to a life pill. Meng Xiaoshan didn't actually doubt the effectiveness of the pill, but was thinking of getting himself a few pills to eat, so that he could take preventive measures without illness. Take it and feed it to the girl Yenner. In a moment, she didn't wake up. Xiaoshan looked at brother Wuchang in confusion, and saw brother Wuchang slapping his forehead and apologizing, I forgot to remind you. After taking the pill, you'll be better off after sleeping for another day. That's great. Xiaoshan was originally worried that when Yenner woke up, she would say what kind of filial piety and righteousness she was. Sigh, she always couldn't explain clearly. This fart takes a little longer, but now it's daylight. Meng Xiaoshan and senior brother Wuchang left the room and ordered a few dishes in the lobby of the inn, ready to start breakfast. Wow, Sister Ing timed it just right. As soon as the food was served, she sat up. The little girl slept quite well at night because Xiaoshan saw the silly smudge at the corner of Ying's eyes. Needless to say, the little girl woke up early and didn't wash her face. Look at this breakfast, a dish of rump meat, a dish of shredded celery, a dish of boiled cabbage, several mantou, and a basin of noodles congee. This is, Xiaoshan unexpectedly discovered a bowl of black soy beans. Wow, what a great thing. With it, this plate of boiled cabbage is no longer monotonous. Shopkeeper, this sauce is a good thing, Xiaoshan said as he saw the shopkeeper eating fennel beans and looking at the ledger. I have a great idea that can make the dishes in your inn more beautiful. Do you want to hear it? Xiaoshan was quite familiar with the shopkeeper and deliberately joked. As soon as the shopkeeper heard this, he immediately swallowed the fennel beans and didn't put the ledger in his hand. He said, "Little brother, what's the point? Hurry up and talk about it, don't be too flashy." "Okay, but this meal is free," Xiaoshan said deceitfully. "Shopkeeper, look, your black bean sauce is a good thing. Look at this sauce. If you dilute it with a little water, it's a good food coloring accessory. Not bad, this is not a rhythm close to soy sauce." The shopkeeper looked puzzled and said, "What's the use of this?" Both junior sister Ing and senior brother Bo were puzzled. Meng Xiaoshan pretended to be a great master and continued, "As the saying goes, food is the top priority for the people. This food emphasizes three aspects: color, aroma, and taste. Look, the food in this inn already has the fragrance, but the monochromatic characters are not enough." The shopkeeper suddenly realized and exclaimed with joy, "You mean, color is just using this sauce to color?" "Yes, no one has put in any effort on the dishes yet." Xiaoshan finally found the advantage of time travel and proudly said, "Not only that, but there will also be various colors such as red sauce in the future. Isn't it wonderful?" The conversation changed and he said, "Shopkeeper, let's have a free meal." "Oh, remember this one." Xiaoshan shook his head and sighed inwardly at the little girl's speed as he saw Xianxia finish grabbing her buttocks. Scene change, it's time for the imperial sword flight. It's now morning, and Xiaoshan and his companions left the inn and headed towards Yucheng in the capital of the Kingdom of Dying. As for Miss Jia Yan, Xiaoshan believed that there was no need to wake up and leave, and also said that she didn't know her before, so there was no need to get entangled. The person who cultivates immortals is satisfied. It didn't take much time to fly towards Yucheng. Unlike ordinary people, it takes 2 or 3 days to arrive with a carriage. Those with good luck can enter the city in time, while those with bad luck happen to close the city gate and have to camp on the streets. Entering the city, the three of them headed straight towards the neighboring city. In the neighborhood, the three of them were truly eye-opening, but when they saw the street, there was a constant stream of pedestrians coming and going. The scene was full of acrobatics, such as breaking big stones on the chest, moving people's heads, flying people in the air, and going. What surprised Xiaoshan even more was fishing for money in an oil pot. Even though he knew the principle and witnessed it in person, it was quite frustrating. On the way, younger martial sister Ing found the Bingtenghulu and shadow play mentioned by Xiaoshan while eating the pastry. Unfortunately, she didn't find them all the way down and complained all the time. Oh no, she suspected that Xiaoshan had lied to her before. Xiaoshan is also very helpless, there are still some sources in this world. However, Xiaoshan found the mountain red fruit, begged elder martial brother to buy some, and promised younger martial sister Ing that she would get Bingtenghulu for her when she went back. In fact, Xiaoshan had another purpose at this market, which was to buy some martial arts routines. During his college years, Xiaoshan liked to watch some martial arts routines, such as Shaolin Hongchuan, but he didn't have time to learn and hadn't memorized them yet. This time, Xiaoshan was particularly careful and bought several routine books, mainly weapons such as knives, guns, swords, and halberds. He searched the book garden www.zhaoshuyuan.com, and of course, these moves are also common in the martial arts world. Alas, the little girl Ing has used it as a children's comic book to read. Senior brother Buchang seems to have bought something sneaky, but he couldn't escape Xiaoshan's eyes. He hid a jade ring in his hand, pure white, which I don't need to think about. It must have been prepared for third senior sister. Yeah, it's been a long time since I last saw third senior sister. It's been 2 months now, but Xiaoshan doesn't have much hope for herself anymore. Immortal love has always been taboo, and third senior sister doesn't treat her very well. Besides, a friend's wife shouldn't be deceived. It seems like she's not the wife of uncle and senior brother yet. After the end of the market, the two immortals didn't feel tired at all, but Xiaoshan, an ordinary person, couldn't bear it anymore and his legs were trembling. At Xiaoshan's strong request, the three finally found an inn to stay. Xiaoshan took a beautiful hot bath and went to bed early. Although it was not yet dark, Xiaoshan started snoring early. With a sound of "hole," the sky thundered at night. Due to sleeping early, Xiaoshan woke up and couldn't eat or sleep. So he lit the light and sat up. Xiaoshan groped around, took out the Wu-Wei heart technique, threw a memory pill into his mouth, and activated the diligent memorization mode. Soon, he memorized it, and with a burst of fire, he destroyed the body and wiped it out. Alas, there is one less book and one less inheritance in the world, the inheritance of martial arts. With great strength, Xiaoshan got up and dressed, pulled out his posture, and gestured with various routine books in the narrow house. While thinking about it, if I were to enter the mortal world in the future, I would definitely become a great hero and shout out, if I see injustice on the road, I will draw my sword to help. If my life is good, I can also perform a heroic act of saving the beauty. When it came to heroes saving beauty, for some reason, Xiaoshan thought of the facade girl Jia Yan, her melon seed face, clear eyes, and silently said, "Yan, are you okay?" Alas, brother Xiaoshan is hopeless, hopeless. Chapter 9. Practice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Holding hands and punching and kicking with a flick, punching and kicking with a horse stance, punching with an empty step and carrying an elbow, holding hands and punching with a flick and kicking with a bow stance, punching and kicking with a horse stance, punching with an empty step and carrying an elbow. Morning exercise, Meng Xiaoshan's special selling power. It has been 2 days since Xiaoshan returned from his mortal journey. During these 2 days, he has been practicing the martial arts mind technique, Wu-Wei mind technique. However, when he saw the 3 yin of the hand walk from the chest to the hand, the 3 yang of the hand walk from the hand to the head, the 3 yang of the foot walk from the head to the foot, and the 3 yin of the foot walk from the foot to the abdomen, he became conflicted. Fortunately, after being explained by uncle and senior brother, it was discovered that these are the 12 meridians, which roughly mean. The hand 3 yin meridian runs from the chest to the end of the fingers, intersecting with the hand 3 yang meridian. The hand 3 yang meridian runs from the end of the fingers towards the head and face, intersecting the foot 3 yang meridian. The foot 3 yang meridian runs from head to face towards the end of the toes, intersecting the foot 3 yin meridian. The foot 3 yin meridian runs from the toes to the abdomen and chest, intersecting with the 3 yin meridian, forming a circular path of yin and yang intersecting, like an endless loop. Looking at the meridians, Xiaoshan even specialized in supplementing the acupoints of the human body's meridians. Unfortunately, he understood them, but it was difficult to master this method of operation, so there was no result in the past 2 days. At noon, Xiaoshan was entangled by younger martial sister Ing, who asked him to boast that he would come back to make bingtenghulu for her. Well, Xiaoshan would do it if he wanted. A pot of syrup boiled up, it was quite hot, and I was sweating profusely. But let Sister Ing make her string hawthorn, what is it called? It looks like the letter S. Xiaoshan didn't make any further corrections, let's just go with S. Anyway, no one knows him. He picked up a few strings and passed them through the syrup, which cooled down a bit, and it was ready. So, Xiong started eating, and Miss Ng was like a primary school student, eating non-stop. Hey, she even took one bite at a time. Xiaoshan was no exception, as if she felt like finding a home. Senior brother Buchang didn't have much appetite, but when he returned, he only found the sugar in the pot, the shiny bamboo fork, and everything else. Anyway, he kept hearing that Sister Ng was hiccuping and nauseous. This hawthorn is not good if you eat too much, and nausea is a big problem, but Bingtanghulu is first class. Before leaving, Sister Ng particularly begged uncle and senior brother for some hawthorn when they went out, and proudly said that she could do it too, with a look of waiting for the wolf, forgetting the mother. Xiaoshan sat cross-legged, frowning and wanting to exercise his internal strength like feces. Senior brother Buchang couldn't bear to watch any more and said, "Xiaoshan, it's been 2 days now, haven't you knocked on the door yet?" Xiaoshan frowned and said, difficult, difficult, difficult. His poetry was full of emotion. The road is difficult, the road is difficult, there are many wrong paths, where are we today? Senior brother Buchang seems to have seen it through now. He knows that Xiaoshan occasionally comes up with a few lines, saying that poetry is not poetry. He said, "How about I help you?" Xiaoshan immediately raised his face and begged, "All right, senior brother, please give me some quick pill to practice quickly." Senior brother Bo shook his head and said, "This is mortal martial arts, and I don't know much about it. However, I can help you with meridians and the like." He extended his palm and pressed it tightly against Xiaoshan's chest. Xiaoshan felt a stream of air in his body, flowing from his chest to his fingers, from the end of his fingers to his head and face, from his head and face to the end of his toes, and from his toes to his abdomen and chest. His body was much more comfortable, and in a process, this stream of air disappeared from his chest again, as if it had returned to the hands of his uncle, senior brother. Senior brother Buchang finished his work and said, "Xiaoshan, I just used some true qi to help you follow the path of the cultivation. So, as long as you follow my path, you should be able to do it." Xiaoshan also realized this point. It's difficult to understand without a master. The role of a master is so important. This Wu-Wei mind technique is just a martial arts technique in the mortal world. Senior brother Bo will not learn it, but it can help him practice. That is to say, as long as he walks with the feeling of the qi flow just now, he may have mastered it himself. Thinking of it, Xiaoshan immediately started, crossed his knees and palms, closed his eyes and focused his mind, feeling the original feeling with all his heart, imagining the meridians, and persevered for several weeks. Sure enough, Xiaoshan clearly felt an increase in airflow inside his body, and that airflow began to increase. After circulating for a week, it gathered in his chest and then dissipated. Xiaoshan was puzzled, and upon closer inspection, he found that the airflow appeared in the dantian. Xiaoshan regained his lost and was overjoyed. He immediately drew air from his chest to his fingers, head, feet, and finally returned to his chest. It was another lost and regained, and the air flow in dantian increased significantly. Meng Xiaoshan finally understood that from the chest to the chest, the airflow, which is the internal breath of martial arts, will disperse throughout the body and automatically return to the elixir field, so the body is also unusual. In fact, Xiaoshan's body has already been much stronger than that of ordinary people. After all, he often eats lingu. Zhaozhuyuan.com Xiaoshan exclaimed happily, "I love you so much, senior brother Buchang." Senior brother Buchang was so scared that he ran away. Oh, don't misunderstand, Xiaoshan doesn't have this hobby, he just got excited for a while. Meng Xiaoshan has been completely obsessed lately. Apart from morning exercises, most of the rest of his days are spent practicing martial arts indoors. His internal breathing seems to be increasing, and recently, he has also found that his body is full of strength. Previously, he used to be exhausted from practicing Tai Chi and Chang Quan, but now he can do it 4 or 5 times without any problem, and some difficult movements can also be achieved. Especially today, uncle and senior brother helped Meng Xiaoshan to connect the 8 extraordinary meridians. The meridians throughout the body can circulate and connect, which is difficult for ordinary people to achieve. After all, Xiaoshan has a spiritual valley to nourish the body. Otherwise, an ordinary person would be injured if they could connect the 8 extraordinary meridians. After all, Xiaoshan is a modern person who knows how to innovate. He not only runs this mental method, but also tries to lock many meridians throughout his body, and has found that they can also promote internal breathing. Therefore, once the meridians throughout his body are unobstructed, there will be no obstacles, and there will be no signs of meridian damage, disorder, and demonic tendencies. Xiaoshan has discovered that luck can lift the entire body of his feet and he can fly up several zhang high, flying back and forth. It's really amazing. By analogy, luck comes from the palm of your hand. Clapping your hands, breaking stones and trees is effortless, and you can even hit objects from the air. It's amazing. 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 Xiaoshan was even thinking that when he had enough internal breathing in the future, he would try his luck with his fingers and see if he could use the 6 meridians divine sword. Meng Xiaoshan was unable to learn immortal techniques in the world of cultivation, but he was also quite excited to learn mortal martial arts. It was like using stimulants, he was really full of energy. After meditating every day, he went crazy, practicing moves and routines outside, and innovating to incorporate internal breathing into moves. Changquan and Tai Chi were the absolute priority choices, causing uncle and senior brother to regret helping him practice this martial art. He regretted it so much. I regret it so much. Chapter 10. People say that immortals are good, but I say that people are really boring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If there is anything in the world that is most ruthless, for me as an observer, the most ruthless is time. Without further ado, let's take a look at Meng Xiaoshan. Oh, pitiful. Walking alone on the mountain road, with no home in all directions, the mountain road is mottled with stones and potholes, how sad it is. But what are you saying? Originally, the deadline of 6 months was approaching in the blink of an eye. I had originally planned to stay at the Yunqing Immortal sect for a longer period of time so that I could encounter some opportunities in the future. Xiaoshan may have a chance to cultivate immortality, but good luck is out of luck, and cultivating immortality is destined to be impossible. People all say that immortals are good, but I say that people are really boring. Immortals and wild fruits live alone, and no one has a deep smile on the world. Xiaoshan's poetic nature resonates with him. Yes, since ancient times, only those who have experienced difficulties in life have poetic qualities. Let me ask a famous saying from ancient times, not all of them are poems in adversity. Alas, just now Xiaoshan was sent down the mountain by senior brother Wuchang. Although senior brother Wuchang couldn't bear to let Xiaoshan go, his fate was difficult, so he had to bless him. As for junior sister Ing, Xiaoshan hasn't seen her for a month, so it doesn't matter if he doesn't see her. I just hope the little girl will be happy in the future. The mountain road was not easy to walk, but Meng Xiaoshan, who had internal skills, couldn't help but feel tired from the journey. Instead, he felt that his internal breathing had increased. After walking down the mountain road, I took out a map, which was given by my senior brother, uncle. It was only by looking at the map that I gained some understanding of the surrounding areas of the Yunqing Mountains. The Yunqing Mountains are bordered to the north by the settlements and deserts of backward ethnic tribes, to the south by the kingdom of Jing, to the west by the kingdom of Mao, and to the east by the kingdom of Daxing. Their geographical location is quite important, and without this mountain range's obstruction, it may be difficult to find peace in all directions. Faced with so many places, Meng Xiaoshan must have given priority to choosing a familiar place. Jinghua, taking the route and heading straight to Jinghua. In the old place of Jinan City, Xiaoshan finally stayed at a large inn in the center of the city, the Welcome Tower. This building has 3 floors, divided into upper, middle, and lower rooms. However, the lower rooms are rarely occupied by people, and most of those who come here show off their superiority. The lower rooms are nothing but a backdrop. However, on the other hand, this place is really nice. The house here is big, the beds are soft, and the waiters are diligent in taking care of them. They are always on call. Meng Xiaoshan specifically went to the lobby downstairs to look for a waiter and ordered a table of side dishes. It's quite a small table, about 10 dishes. As for where Xiaoshan got the money, don't ask me, let's ask uncle and senior brother. Let's have a meal. What we want is atmosphere, and what comes is extravagance. Xiaoshan from the original world was an ordinary person, but now he has finally become a wealthy man. While eating, he also listens to the conversations of surrounding guests, which is quite interesting. In ancient times, it was good. When eating in an ordinary restaurant, people who didn't know each other at several tables would talk to each other at a distance. Some people would simply sit together, share delicious food, and have a special conversation. In today's world, it's impolite for a restaurant to speak loudly and listen to others. They say you're prying into privacy, not to mention inviting people they don't know to drink together. Meng Xiaoshan occasionally interjected a few words while listening to other people's conversation, saying that whenever there is a question, one must answer. The ancients were sincere and never deceived. By the way, I've talked too much as an observer. To get to the point, Xiaoshan heard a lot about the discord in the martial arts world of the Jing Kingdom. Before they could jointly attack the Mao Kingdom, they all fought against each other. The reason for this was that the second leader of the Jishui village, Hidawei, died at the Good Inn and was witnessed by many people in the Jishui village. On the spot, they discovered the long sword of Jia Yan, a member of the Lianqing sect, and accused Jia Yan of killing fellow martial artists. Therefore, the Jishui stronghold joined forces with the Yueshan party to fight against Lianqing men, and Lianqing men and the Mount Huangshan sect said that the Jishui stronghold was full of evil and evil. Meng Xiaoshan had no intention of caring about these things, but he guessed that the second in command of Jishui village, Hidawei, should be the assassin, so he listened more to these messages. Meng Xiaoshan now also possesses martial arts skills. He plans to spend a few days in the city and then travel around, occasionally becoming a great hero, eliminating small thieves and helping the people of Dawn. Isn't this a beautiful life? Today, Xiaoshan checked out of the room, packed his bags, dressed in a scholarly outfit, wielded a sword, and began to wander the world. As for why it's necessary to wear a scholar's outfit, Meng Xiaoshan thinks that wearing a scholar's outfit can make you look more handsome, and tying it in a long bun can give you a lot of vitality. It would be wonderful for a scholar to wear a sword. Xiaoshan's departure destination is the capital city of Yucheng. Last time, he flew there, but this time he needs to personally walk down to earth all the way. After leaving the city and walking 10 miles south, I heard the sound of the handover of troops from deep in the forest. As I approached closely, I saw 6 people besieging a man and a woman with knives. That man and woman were already at a disadvantage, and if nothing unexpected happened, those 6 people would surely achieve a complete victory. Meng Xiaoshan was originally meant to be a hero, and when he saw this situation, he couldn't miss it. He shouted, "I've seen injustice on the way, I'll help." He joined the battle team with a sword. I saw Xiaoshan lunging straight, lifting his knee and chopping flat, turning back and chopping, turning back and stabbing downwards, lunging flat, hanging his sword and stabbing straight, lunging left, virtual step and sword blocking progressive left flick, turning back flick, progressive right flick, resting step up collapse, sitting plate reverse flick, lunge diagonal cut, turning cloud sword, closing move. The 6 of them were all beaten in a state of embarrassment. Although it was strange that Meng Xiaoshan's swordsmanship was ordinary, he did indeed block their attack. Seeing that they could not attack for a long time, he only heard one of them shout, "Withdraw," and the 6 of them withdrew in an orderly manner. Meng Xiaoshan, this guy, proudly shouted, "Wu Na Lu Han, don't leave, let's fight for another round. That man and woman were handsome, dressed in white clothes and black hair, with facial features as sharp as a knife. Their sharp and angular face was exceptionally handsome, making them a beautiful man. Looking at the woman again, wearing a light green shirt, her eyebrows curved, her nose upturned, her face as white as jade, and her face as morning flowers, she was incredibly beautiful. Xiaoshan sighed in his heart, what a beautiful couple. You envy me too. He even tugged at the ancient text. The man bowed his head and said, thank you very much for saving your life, great Xia. Do you dare to ask about your name? The woman also bowed with her. Xiaoshan has a great sense of achievement, but some people call him a great hero. He quickly approached Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com and said, I dare not, I'm Meng Xiaoshan. In fact, I didn't take action just now, and both of you can solve it. He also humbly showed his overseas Chinese affection. The man was very honest, Great Xia, if it weren't for Great Xia, our lives would be in danger. My younger brother, Qi Ning, a disciple of Mount Huangshan sect, reached out and pointed at the girl, saying, she is Yan Shui from the Lotus family. Then Yan Shui bowed again to confirm, and Qi Ning said, if you don't give up, please come to the front Zhuangzi and let me repay you for your life. Meng Xiaoshan was very anxious when he first heard about the Lion Shengman, because he didn't want to make Jia Yan mistakenly believe that he was a filial and righteous marquis. However, knowing that this woman was only someone under her tutelage, I don't think I might have met her. Besides, they were clearly in a passionate relationship, so I thought the villa might just be their own residence or rental. So I nodded and said, I'm really hungry. Let's go, let's go. Along the way, the beautiful woman Yin Shui blushed and never spoke. On the contrary, the handsome man, who was quite familiar, kept talking to Xiaoshan, mostly asking him where he was from and where he was going. Xiaoshan almost couldn't bear it, so he could only say that he was from Jing and went to visit relatives in Beijing. A few miles away, I saw a village that was quite big. Entering, Xiaoshan exclaimed in fear, I'll go. Because as soon as I entered, I saw Jia Yan with a lotus white dress and a light veil covering her face, which was a bit too backy. Looking again, this manor has gathered many people, all holding weapons. Those who don't know think they have entered a den of thieves. Xiaoshan was very anxious because he didn't know how to face the masked woman Jia Yan. Mid-Autumn Festival is coming soon, friends. Remember to eat mooncakes. It's quite difficult to get a driver's license, and it's even harder to apply for a driving school, especially since there are so many driving schools to choose from. I don't know which one to go to. Anyway, eat mooncakes and think about it.